Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
The Saints have really been, for the second consecutive year, a snake-bitten football team when it comes to injuries. That we all know the number. A year ago, the Saints started more different player started more players over the course of the season than any team in the history of the NFL. That's not good for consistency, clearly. And man, just when you look at this year already, with Kamara having missed time, Taysom having missed a game, you've obviously had injuries on your offensive line throughout this year. You just got Andrews Pete back from a concussion, and Throckmorton's hurt. He missed the game. We know what's happened with the receivers, with Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. And the trickle-down has now happened because Chris Olave was injured. On the touchdown catch was an amazing catch. Chris Olave went unconscious. You could just tell the way his body went limp. He flailed. So he's most certainly will be in the concussion protocol, and you wish him well. And then Deonte Harty got hurt as well. So you're down your top four receivers, which is just incredible. It's incredible to say. That's just such a mouthful. But Nick Underhill noted that Deonte Harty suffered a turf toe injury. That's according to a source, and said he's expected to miss some time, and the fear is that the injury could be significant. Ian Rappaport then quote tweeted Nick and added that Deonte Harty will get a second opinion, but if nothing changes, it's likely an injury that knocks him out for a few months. That could mean season ending. Well, that's really, really tough news, especially because not only is Deonte Harty, has he become a legitimate receiving threat, he's also obviously your returner. But the thing I'll tell you why I'm a little less concerned about that than I am about the injuries to Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry is because I love Marquez Callaway. I think Marquez Callaway has been an incredible addition to this team. He has been one of the undrafted free agent gems that I think in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, we'll look back and point to him on that short list of guys that we always bring up. Now, I don't mean to bring up like Pierre Thomas, who won a Super Bowl and is in the Saints Hall of Fame, but maybe that becomes Callaway's lot eventually. I don't know, but this is one of those guys that you notice the skill set. And we talked about him when the Saints signed him as an undrafted free agent because I loved him at Tennessee. Callaway was a dynamic returner at Tennessee, so I have no problem with Marquez Callaway stepping back into that role as your kick and punt returner. Now, the downside of that is he's no longer your gunner, right? So you need to replace that spot on special teams. So there is sort of a domino effect or musical chairs where you have to shuffle a guy, but specifically just in that role of losing Deonte Harty, and with all due respect, considering he was an all-pro returner in 2020, I like Marquez Callaway as a returner and as a receiver. Callaway had the touchdown reception in Carolina where it was basically just a jump ball into the end zone. Played well in London, and yesterday had two catches for 5 yards where they try to get him the ball, and then as a returner after Harty went out, he had two punt returns for 25 yards, a long of 21. I'm very confident with Marquez Callaway having the ball in his hands. So, yes, of course, you would love for Deonte Harty to be available to you as both a receiver and as a returner, but I'm good with Callaway being there. And the other thing that I really like about Marquez Callaway is, and this is, I'm not going to say it this way to take a shot because many of you will perceive it that way because of how I've talked about Tre'Quan Smith over the years, but it's just an illustration to show the contrast between the two. Marquez Callaway, who is a guy who last year, when the Saints had all the injuries they did at receiver, and they were looking desperate for somebody to step up, Marquez Callaway did, and Tre'Quan Smith didn't. when you had all the expectation there and the need, one guy elevated and one guy didn't. That's why I like Marquez Callaway. Whatever he's got, if you want the Twitter parlance, he's the X-ray with the pit bull. He's got that dog in him. I like that about Marquez Callaway a lot. I don't feel like there's any assignment you give him where he shies away from it. So it would suck if Deonte Harty's out for the rest of the year, but I'm quite confident with Marquez Callaway, who last year out of necessity was your number one receiver. I'm quite confident when you get Thomas and Landry and Olave all back, with Callaway being your number 4, and thinking that's probably the best number 4 receiver of any team in the NFL, or certainly on the short list of it. So we'll wait on word for Deonte Harty with that turf toe injury, but with Marquez Callaway there to back him up, it just doesn't hit as much. It doesn't feel like as big of a hit. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.